Get straight to our top stories. The U.S. Senate wants to level the playing field with China as they introduce a new bill aimed at controlling foreign currencies. Senator Chuck Schumer introduced legislation that condemns currency manipulation by foreign governments as an unfair subsidy and would slap those governments with U.S. trade restrictions. RT's Lauren Lister has more.
When Barack Obama became U.S. president, the conventional wisdom was U.S. and China relations would improve. In February of 2009, Hillary Clinton made her first visit to Beijing as Secretary of State. Surprising some, she backed off on criticism of Tibet and Falun Gong. China, in turn, muted their criticism of U.S. risky financial policies. They instead focused on issues that both countries were concerned about, such as the global financial crisis. The high point came when Obama made his first visit to China in November of 2009. Both sides were hoping Obama's visit would lift U.S.-China relations to a new level. But what's happened since has been anything but, leaving people wondering what's really behind the souring of U.S.-China relations. Here's the rundown of what we know. In December, Google alleges a cyber attack from China, and after years of doing business in the country following censorship laws, in January threatens to pull out altogether. China appears unmoved for its part. Later that month, Hillary Clinton gives an internet freedom speech and decides to point the finger at China over internet freedom, and she brings up the Google situation, asking for an investigation. China fires back, calling it an unjustified attack. At the end of January, the U.S. announces a $6 billion arms sale to Taiwan, a move sure to upset China. China is, of course, upset and retaliates. In February, senior military officers proposed to sell U.S. bonds to punish Washington over the sale. Meanwhile, Obama signs into law a $1.9 trillion increase in U.S. borrowing. China is, of course, the largest lender to the U.S. Then, a report shows China had been selling bonds, $45 billion in U.S. treasuries over the prior 5 months, which analysts called a trend. President Obama in February then meets with the Dalai Lama, the exiled Tibetan spiritual leader, at the White House. This despite strong objections from Chinese officials, further adding to tensions. And now in March, U.S. lawmakers get involved with the Google situation. Now they're criticizing China over cybersecurity and internet freedom. And U.S. senators unveil legislation to punish China if it doesn't revalue its currency, saying Beijing keeps the yuan low to bolster exports. And the United States State Department publishes its annual report on human rights, being tougher on China than in past years. In response, China publishes its own report on the U.S. human rights record, accusing the U.S. of turning a blind eye and covering up rampant human rights abuses happening right at home. Lauren Lister, RT, Washington, D.C.